Inside the penthouse office, however, warmth radiated from every surface. Polished mahogany gleamed under the soft glow of designer lamps, reflecting the intricate patterns of the Persian rugs. Crystal chandeliers, heavy with 1,000 tiny facets, hung like frozen waterfalls, casting a dazzling, almost blinding light across the room. The air hung thick with the scent of expensive cologne, the delicate perfume of rare orchids, and the faint, sweet aroma of victory. It was the annual shareholder gala for Sterling Innovations, a night of celebration, backpatting, and extravagant promises. High above the bustling streets, men in tailored suits, each stitch proclaiming its hefty price, moved with practiced ease. Women in shimmering gowns, their jewels catching the light with every subtle movement, conversed in hushed, yet entirely audible, tones. Their laughter, sharp and bright, echoed a little too loudly in the cavernous room, a testament to their self-assured success. Champagne flutes, heavy and elegant, clinked together, marking milestones and sealing unspoken agreements. Waiters, moving with silent efficiency, offered trays of delicate appetizers, each a miniature work of art. This was a world apart, a rarefied atmosphere where fortunes were made and futures decided, all under the soft hum of power and privilege. It was a spectacle of wealth, ambition, and unchecked confidence. Anya moved through this landscape like a ghost. Her plain gray uniform, a stark contrast to the vibrant colors and glittering fabrics around her, seemed to absorb the light, making her almost invisible. It was an old uniform, softened by countless washes, a testament to endless nights of labor. She pushed her cleaning cart with a soft, almost inaudible squeak of its wheels, a lonely sound in the symphony of the gala. Her hands, calloused from years of scrubbing, wiping, and polishing, carefully collected empty flutes and discarded napkins, each motion precise and economical. Her eyes, a deep, quiet brown, observed everything without truly seeing, used to the fleeting, self-absorbed glances of the powerful. She was a fixture here, part of the background, as unnoticed as the expensive art on the walls, yet infinitely more vital to the smooth, almost magical operation of this glittering world. Anya had worked here for 5 years, an eternity in the fast-paced world of Sterling Innovations. In that time, she had seen countless celebrations, countless deals made and broken, countless egos inflated and occasionally deflated. She knew the rhythm of the building, the secrets whispered in hushed tones behind closed doors, the late-night anxieties that faded with the morning sunday. Her job was to erase the messes, to make everything pristine again, ready for another day of high-stakes business. She was the silent hand that wiped away the traces of their excess, the quiet force that restored order after their opulent chaos. Tonight, she wished she could be anywhere else. The endless chatter, the blinding lights, the smell of money that permeated everything, it all weighed on her, a heavy, invisible cloak. She longed for the simple quiet of her small apartment, the worn armchair by the window, the single cup of herbal tea she would make for herself. Tonight, the mood was particularly festive, even for Sterling Innovations. Mr. Sterling, the CEO himself, a man whose name was synonymous with ruthless ambition and undeniable genius, stood at the very center of a buzzing crowd. He was a tall man, with sharp, intelligent eyes that missed nothing and a smile that could charm or cut, depending on the recipient. Tonight, it was all charm, all dazzling benevolence. He was reveling in the glow of a record-breaking year, his voice booming with confidence and a touch of celebratory excess. His company had just landed a monumental deal, securing its dominance in a fiercely competitive market. The financial news channels had hailed it as a stroke of genius, a testament to Mr. Sterling's unmatched foresight. He raised his crystal glass, and the entire room, as if by command, fell into a respectful, almost reverent, hush. Mr. Sterling said, to Sterling Innovations, to innovation, to success, and to the incredible team that makes it all happen. His voice vibrated with triumph, filling every corner of the vast room. A chorus of cheers and applause, loud and sustained, erupted. Hands clapped, voices shouted congratulations, and more champagne flowed freely. Anya, momentarily paused by a large, decorative plant with glossy, dark leaves, watched from the periphery. She felt a familiar ache in her feet, a dull throb that had become a constant companion, a steady reminder of her long hours. She thought of the simple meal she would make when she finally returned home, the quiet solitude that awaited her. This world, with its dazzling lights and superficial smiles, felt miles away from her own, even as she stood in its very heart. She was simply a shadow in their brilliant light, a silent witness to their triumphs and excesses. She pushed her cart forward, careful not to disturb the important conversations unfolding around her. She had a long night ahead, emptying wastebaskets, cleaning spills, ensuring every surface reflected the company's immaculate, polished image. But tonight was different. As Anya rounded a corner, preparing to enter the main banquet hall to collect more glasses, she found herself closer to Mr. Sterling than usual. He was laughing loudly with a group of senior board members, his tie loosened slightly, a mischievous glint in his eye. He had just finished recounting a humorous anecdote about a particularly difficult negotiation, and his audience hung on every word, chuckling on cue. His gaze swept across the room, full of the casual power of a man who owned everything he saw, a man accustomed to having his every whim indulged. And then, quite unexpectedly, his eyes landed on Anya. He paused, his smile widening, not in recognition of her, but in a sudden, playful idea that seemed to spark in his mind. The other executives followed his gaze, their own smiles faltering into polite, uncertain grins as they realized who he was looking at. A ripple of quiet curiosity went through the small group gathered around him. Anya felt a prickle of intense unease, a cold dread coiling in her stomach. She wanted to shrink back into the shadows, to continue her work unseen, unheard, as she always did. She wished the floor would simply swallow her whole. But Mr. Sterling was already speaking, his voice cutting through the general hum of conversation like a sharp knife. "Mr. Sterling said, "Ah, Anya, our tireless guardian of cleanliness." His voice carried easily, intentionally loud enough for several nearby groups to hear. A wave of heads turned towards them, eyes focusing on the small, unassuming figure by the cleaning cart. Anya froze, her heart thumping against her ribs like a trapped bird. She was unaccustomed to being addressed directly, especially by the CEO, and certainly not in front of so many important, judgmental people. A deep, mortifying blush crept up her neck, staining her cheeks. She offered a small, almost imperceptible nod, clutching the handle of her cart tighter, her knuckles white. She hoped he would simply wave her away, or return to his conversation, letting her fade back into her usual anonymity. "Mr. Sterling said, come closer. Don't be shy." He waved her forward with an expansive, dismissive gesture of his hand. His smile was still wide, but it held a certain patronizing amusement. Anya hesitated, her feet glued to the polished floor. Every instinct screamed at her to flee, to disappear. But the sheer weight of his gaze, the sudden, unwanted attention of the entire group, compelled her to take a few hesitant, unwilling steps forward. Each step felt like walking through thick mud. She felt incredibly exposed, her worn uniform suddenly feeling too small, too shabby, too obviously out of place among the silks and jewels. The silence around them grew, thick with anticipation and a touch of awkwardness. Everyone wondered what the CEO wanted with the janitor. Some of the younger executives, barely out of business school, exchanged quick glances, barely suppressing smirks of superiority. A few of the older, more seasoned board members looked slightly uncomfortable, shifting their weight from foot to foot. Mr. Sterling said, "You know, Anya, it's a night of celebration. We've all worked incredibly hard." He gestured vaguely at the opulent room, at the expensive decorations, at the glittering crowd. "But perhaps not as hard as you, keeping this place spotless, day in and day out, without fail." He chuckled, a deep, booming sound that made Anya flinch inwardly. It was a laugh that held no genuine warmth for her, only a casual acknowledgement of her effort, an effort that he barely registered, compared to his own. He paused, letting his gaze sweep over her once more. "Tell me," he continued, a playful glint in his sharp eyes, "do you ever sing while you work? Perhaps hum a little tune to pass the long, quiet hours when everyone else has gone home?" He was clearly making a joke, a light-hearted jab at her humble position, expecting a shy denial or a nervous, self-deprecating laugh. He expected her to play her part, the quiet, humble worker, amused by his casual attention. Anya simply looked at him, her quiet brown eyes betraying nothing of the turmoil inside her. The question hung in the air, a strange, almost absurd challenge in this grand setting, an echo from a past she had painstakingly buried. She felt a familiar tension tighten her chest, a knot of old memories and suppressed desires. It was a feeling she had known since childhood, a mix of apprehension and a strange, potent longing, a powerful undertow threatening to pull her into deep waters. The world waited for her answer. every eye fixed upon her, but she had no immediate words for the question he had so casually, so thoughtlessly, thrown into her carefully constructed silence. The weight of her past, of a life she had once dreamed of, pressed down on her with sudden force. Mr. Sterling, misinterpreting her silence as shyness, or perhaps even embarrassment at being singled out, chuckled again, louder this time. He was enjoying his little performance, the unexpected diversion from the usual corporate small talk. He wanted to lighten the mood further, perhaps even show his human side to his employees and shareholders by playfully teasing a subordinate. He probably thought he was being incredibly generous, kind even, by acknowledging her at all, by making her, however briefly, a part of the evening's entertainment. He patted a nearby executive on the back, a gesture of shared amusement. Mr. Sterling said, "No, no, don't worry. I'm not asking for a full performance, Anya." He waved a hand dismissively, as if swatting away the idea of such an inconvenience. "But tell you what, Anya." His voice dropped slightly, adopting a conspiratorial, yet still loud enough for everyone to hear, tone. He leaned in towards her, a wide, confident smile on his face, radiating self-importance. "If you sing for me right now, just a little something, anything at all, I'll double your pay for this entire week." He straightened up, looking around at his audience with an expectant, triumphant air, clearly believing he had made an incredibly generous offer for a simple, harmless bit of entertainment. The words hung in the air, a challenge, a joke, a proposition that was entirely out of place in this high-powered gathering, yet undeniably real. The sheer audacity of the offer, made so casually, so publicly, instantly created an uneasy silence. Some guests looked genuinely shocked, their champagne flutes paused mid-air. Others looked merely amused, their smiles thinly veiled. A few exchanged glances of mild disgust at what seemed like a condescending display of power, a wealthy man demanding a performance from a servant for his amusement. No one, not a single soul in that glittering, opulent room, expected anything but a mumbled refusal or a forced, off-key tune. They expected a laugh, an uncomfortable moment that would quickly pass, and then a quick return to their champagne and their conversations. They were so wrong. The joke was about to turn, to shatter their comfortable assumptions, to unleash something truly profound, something they would remember long after the city lights had faded to dawn. The quiet janitor, the invisible woman, was about to reveal a secret that would echo through their gilded halls. Anya's breath hitched. The offer, tossed out so carelessly by Mr. Sterling, struck her with the force of a physical blow. Double her pay for a week. To many in the room, it would be a trivial sum, hardly worth a second thought. But to Anya, it represented 2 months of careful budgeting, the repair of her old refrigerator, perhaps even new shoes that didn't pinch her tired feet. It was a lifeline, a chance to ease the constant strain of living paycheck to paycheck. The calculation ran through her mind in an instant, a desperate logic overriding her discomfort. Yet, a part of her recoiled. To sing? Here? Now? It was a humiliation, a spectacle. Her voice, her most precious, most hidden gift, was not a party trick. It was a sacred trust, a memory, a part of a life she had deliberately abandoned. The silence stretched, thick and heavy, punctuated only by the distant hum of the building's ventilation system. The faces in the crowd blurred into a sea of expectant, curious stares. She could feel their judgment, their amusement, their condescension. She swallowed hard, her throat suddenly dry. Anya looked at Mr. Sterling. His smile was still plastered on his face, but a flicker of impatience crossed his eyes. He expected a quick response, a grateful acceptance of his magnanimous offer. He probably assumed she would be thrilled, eager to please. He had no idea of the quiet storm brewing within her. She closed her eyes for a brief moment, picturing the worn photograph tucked away in her wallet. Her grandmother, a woman whose own voice had been a beacon of strength and solace. A memory, sharp and clear, pierced through the fog of her anxiety. "Your voice is a gift, child," her grandmother had often said. "It comes from the soul. Never let anyone dim its light." Her grandmother's words resonated, a quiet defiance against the casual disdain in the room. This wasn't about pleasing Mr. Sterling. This wasn't about a party trick. This was about remembering who she was, even in this moment of vulnerability. It was about reclaiming a small piece of herself. Anya opened her eyes. She looked directly at Mr. Sterling, her gaze steady, devoid of the shyness he expected. A faint, almost imperceptible tremor ran through her, but her resolve hardened. She would sing, but not for his amusement. She would sing for herself, for her grandmother, for the quiet dignity that still resided within her. Mr. Sterling said, "Well, Anya, a simple tune, that's all. We won't judge your karaoke skills." He chuckled again, a bit louder, to break the tension, but his words only added another layer of slight. Anya said, "What would you like me to sing, sir?" Her voice was soft, barely above a whisper, but it carried an unexpected firmness, cutting through the background noise of the gala. A few more heads turned. The subtle shift in her demeanor, from invisible janitor to someone with a quiet presence, was unsettling to some. Mr. Sterling blinked, surprised by her direct question. He hadn't expected her to accept, much less with such composure. He had expected a shy refusal, a mumbled excuse. He stroked his chin, a new glint of amusement, tinged with mild curiosity, entering his eyes. He wanted to make it slightly challenging, to prolong his little game. "Mr. Sterling said, something. Classic. Something everyone knows. How about Amazing Grace?" He thought it was an easy choice, a well-known hymn that almost anyone could hum. He wanted something simple, something that wouldn't require any real talent, just a demonstration of her willingness to comply. Anya nodded slowly. Amazing Grace. A song of redemption, of finding light in darkness. It was a song her grandmother had sung to her, a lullaby of comfort and hope. It was a song that resonated deeply with the hidden corners of her own spirit. She took a deep breath, filling her lungs, a familiar ritual before any performance, no matter how small. Her hands, still gripping the cleaning cart, relaxed slightly. The sounds of the party, the clinking glasses, the low murmur of conversation, seemed to fade, becoming a distant backdrop to the rising focus within her. She was no longer just Anya, the janitor. She was a vessel, ready to share a piece of her soul. And then, she began. Her voice, when it finally emerged, was a whisper at first, a fragile, tentative thread of sound that seemed to barely exist in the vast room. It was unamplified, raw, completely exposed. Anya sang, "Amazing Grace. How sweet the sound, that saved a wretch like me." The first note was pure, clear, and perfectly pitched. It hung in the air, a bell-like tone that instantly drew the attention of those closest to her. Conversations died. Heads snapped up. The clinking of glasses ceased. The music from the invisible speakers in the ceiling suddenly seemed to fade into insignificance. It was as if someone had pressed a mute button on the entire gala. As Anya continued, her voice gained strength, unfolding with a richness and depth that seemed utterly impossible for a woman who had, moments ago, been pushing a cleaning cart. It wasn't just a voice. It was an instrument of exquisite beauty, capable of conveying profound emotion with every rising and falling note. Her voice possessed an almost ethereal quality, a haunting beauty that spoke of resilience, of sorrow, and of an unwavering hope. Anya sang, "I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see." The words, simple and familiar, took on new meaning, delivered with an honesty and vulnerability that reached deep into the hearts of those listening. Her voice was not merely hitting notes. It was telling a story of struggle and eventual revelation. It soared effortlessly, filling the enormous, opulent room, echoing off the polished marble and the crystal chandeliers. It resonated in the chests of the listeners, a physical vibration that stirred something long dormant within them. Mr. Sterling's confident smile had vanished. His jaw had dropped slightly, his eyes wide with a mixture of shock and utter disbelief. He had expected a joke, a fleeting moment of amusement. He had expected a janitor to sing a janitor's song, perhaps a little off-key, a little nervous. He had not expected this. He had certainly not expected a voice that seemed to pluck at the very strings of his soul, a voice that commanded attention not through volume, but through sheer, undeniable artistry. The color had drained from his face. He felt a profound sense of foolishness wash over him, a cold realization of his misjudgment. The executives around him, initially smirking or looking bored, were now frozen in place, their expressions shifting from surprise to awe. A few of the women discreetly reached for their clutches, pulling out small tissues, dabbing at the corners of their eyes. Even the most hardened among them, men who prided themselves on their emotional detachment, felt a lump form in their throats. The sheer, unexpected beauty of her voice cut through the superficiality of the evening, reaching something raw and human in everyone present. Anya continued to sing, her eyes closed now, lost in the music, no longer aware of the captivated audience. Her body swayed, almost imperceptibly with the rhythm, her hands no longer gripping the cart, but clasped loosely in front of her. The song poured out of her, a stream of pure, unadulterated emotion, a lifetime of suppressed dreams and untold stories woven into every note. Anya sang, "'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed." The power of her voice filled the room, a magnificent, soaring instrument. It wasn't just technically perfect, it was soulful, imbued with a depth of feeling that made the familiar hymn feel brand new, as if heard for the very first time. There was a raw honesty, a profound humility in her delivery that made the lyrics intensely personal. It was a voice that had clearly been trained, polished, and loved, a voice that had once been destined for something far grander than this impromptu performance in a corporate penthouse. This was not the voice of a casual singer. This was the voice of a true artist. Tears streamed down the faces of several guests, unashamed and unconcealed. An elderly board member, a man known for his ruthless business tactics, openly wept, his shoulders shaking slightly. His wife, usually reserved and composed, had her hand pressed over her mouth, her eyes wide with emotion. Waiters stopped mid-stride, trays held aloft, their own faces betraying their captivation. The music was a balm, a revelation, a sudden, unexpected moment of grace in a night usually dominated by ambition and avarice. When Anya reached the final verse, her voice, still powerful, took on a wistful, almost melancholic tone, as if acknowledging the passage of time, the dreams deferred. Anya sang, "When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we'd first begun." The last note hung in the air, vibrating softly, then slowly faded into an astonishing, complete silence. For a long moment, no one moved, no one spoke. The entire room remained utterly still, suspended in the aftermath of her song, stunned into a collective reverence. The only sound was the faint, almost imperceptible sniffle of a few guests. The air was thick with emotion, heavy with the lingering echoes of her incredible voice. Anya slowly opened her eyes. For a moment, she seemed disoriented, as if waking from a deep dream. She looked around, her gaze sweeping over the silent, tear-streaked faces, the shocked expressions, the dropped jaws. It was only then that the full impact of what she had done, and how she had affected them, truly registered. A faint flush returned to her cheeks, but this time it was not from embarrassment, but from a quiet, internal pride. Then, a single clap broke the silence. It came from the back of the room, tentative at first, then growing stronger. Soon, another joined, and another. Within seconds, the entire penthouse erupted in a thunderous ovation. It wasn't polite applause. It was an outpouring of genuine, heartfelt appreciation, a standing ovation that shook the very foundations of the room. People were on their feet, clapping, cheering, some even calling out bravo, and more. Tears still flowed freely, but now they were mixed with exuberant smiles. Mr. Sterling, still visibly shaken, was among the first to rise, his face a complex mask of awe, regret, and something akin to profound respect. His hands, usually so steady and commanding, trembled slightly as he clapped, his applause louder than anyone else's, as if trying to atone for his earlier casual cruelty. He looked at Anya, not with the amused condescension from before, but with a gaze that finally saw her, truly saw the extraordinary woman standing before him. The joke had landed, but the punchline was on him, in the entire room. He had asked for a song and had been given a masterpiece. The irony was not lost on him, or on anyone else. Anya stood amidst the deafening applause, a small, humble figure in her gray uniform, suddenly bathed in the spotlight she had so long avoided. A faint, shy smile touched her lips, a glimmer of the artist she had once been, the artist she had always been, hidden beneath layers of duty and resignation. The cheers grew louder, a wave of genuine emotion washing over her. She knew, in that moment, that nothing would ever be the same. The silence she had built around herself, the quiet life she had chosen, had been shattered by the undeniable power of her own voice. And a new, unexpected chapter was about to begin. The applause thundered, echoing through the penthouse. Anya felt a dizzying rush, a sensation both exhilarating and terrifying. It had been years since she had heard such a sound, years since her voice had commanded such raw emotion. Her heart pounded, a frantic drumbeat against her ribs. She looked at the faces, no longer a blur, but distinct individuals, many with tears still shining in their eyes. There was no mockery, no condescension now, only genuine admiration, even reverence. This was a moment she had never anticipated, a fragile miracle that had erupted from a casual slight. Mr. Sterling pushed through the crowd, his initial shock slowly giving way to a different kind of intensity. His corporate shrewdness, always calculating, was now directed at this unexpected phenomenon. He reached Anya, his hand outstretched. His movements were no longer dismissive, but deliberate, respectful. He took her hand, his grip firm. Mr. Sterling said, "Anya, I don't know what to say." His voice was hoarse, tinged with a humility that was utterly alien to his usual demeanor. That was magnificent. Truly, truly magnificent. He held her gaze, a profound regret etched onto his face. "I apologize. My offer, my words, they were entirely inappropriate. I had no idea whatsoever." He looked genuinely shaken, stripped of his usual composure. Anya simply nodded, her hand still in his. She didn't speak. There was no need for words. The song had spoken for itself, articulating depths of love, emotion that language could only approximate. She felt a strange mix of vindication and a burgeoning sense of responsibility. This was not a moment to revel in his discomfort, but to acknowledge the shared humanity that her music had momentarily bridged. One of the board members, a stern-faced woman named Miss Albright, stepped forward. Her eyes, usually sharp and analytical, were softened by unshed tears. "Miss Albright said, Anya, where did you learn to sing like that? Your voice. It's extraordinary. A gift from heaven." Her voice was soft, reverent. She reached out and gently touched Anya's arm, a gesture of profound respect that would have been unthinkable just minutes before. The questions began to pour in, a torrent of curiosity and wonder. Everyone wanted to know her story, to understand how such a voice could have remained hidden for so long, under the guise of a janitor. Anya felt overwhelmed, a sudden spotlight on a life she had carefully kept in the shadows. She wished she could disappear again, but the moment demanded an answer, a truth that she had long buried. Anya took another deep breath, steadying herself. She looked at Mr. Sterling, then at Miss Albright, and finally at the sea of eager faces. Her voice was still a little shaky, but it carried a quiet strength. Anya said, I studied at the National Conservatory of Music many years ago." A murmur of surprise rippled through the crowd. This was not the answer they expected. "I dreamed of being an opera singer." She paused, a wistful look in her eyes. "My grandmother, she saved every penny to send me there. She believed in me." She continued, her voice gaining a little more confidence as she spoke of her past. Anya said, "But then, life happens. My grandmother fell ill. The medical bills, they piled up. I had to leave school. I had to find work, any work, to support her and our family." A collective sigh went through the room. Many understood the harsh realities of life, even if they rarely experienced them themselves. Anya said, "The dream faded. It became a luxury I couldn't afford." She looked down at her worn uniform. "This job, it pays the bills. It's honest work, and it allowed me to care for her until her last days." Silence descended once more, but this time it was a silence born of empathy and sorrow. The story, told so simply, so honestly, resonated deeply. It was a stark reminder of the sacrifices many people had to make, the dreams that were sometimes shattered by the brutal demands of reality. These successful individuals, insulated by their wealth, were suddenly confronted with a truth they rarely acknowledged. Not everyone had the luxury of pursuing their passions. Mr. Sterling, his face grim, cleared his throat. Mr. Sterling said, "Anya, I am truly sorry for your hardship, and deeply ashamed of my earlier insensitivity." He looked around at the assembled guests. "What Anya has shown us tonight is more than just a magnificent voice. It's the enduring spirit of resilience, the quiet dignity of sacrifice." He paused, his gaze sweeping over the crowd, his voice regaining its usual commanding tone, but now imbued with genuine sincerity. "This company, Sterling Innovations, prides itself on recognizing talent, on fostering innovation, on building a better future." He turned back to Anya, a determined glint in his eye. "And Anya, your talent, your spirit, cannot be allowed to remain hidden." He took a step back, gesturing broadly to the room. "Mr. Sterling said, this joke, this challenge, as crass as it was, has revealed an extraordinary truth." He looked at the gathered executives. "We need to do more. We need to do better." He extended his hand to Anya once more, a gesture of a different kind of partnership this time. "Mr. Sterling said, Anya, your pay for this week, as I promised, will be doubled. But that is merely a token. That is not enough. He paused, letting his words sink in. Effective immediately, Anya, your role at Sterling Innovations is changing. You will no longer be a janitor. A ripple of astonishment went through the room. Anya's eyes widened, her mouth slightly agape. She could barely comprehend his words. What could he possibly mean? Mr. Sterling said, we will create a new position for you. Something that leverages your incredible gift. He turned to Miss Albright, who nodded, already understanding. Mr. Sterling said, Miss Albright, please work with our HR department first thing Monday morning. We need to offer Anya a position that allows her to pursue her passion, perhaps a scholarship, an artistic residency, or even a role in a philanthropic initiative connected to the arts. Whatever it takes, we will fund her return to music education. We will help her find the best vocal coaches, the best opportunities. Sterling, Innovations will invest in you. Anya, we will help you reclaim your dream. The room erupted into another wave of applause, this time mixed with gasps of surprise and murmurs of approval. It was an unprecedented move for Mr. Sterling, a man known more for his ruthless business acumen than for acts of charity or artistic patronage. But the genuine emotion in his voice, the conviction in his eyes, left no doubt as to his sincerity. He wasn't just making an offer, he was making a promise. Anya stood there, utterly speechless. Tears welled up in her eyes, blurring the glittering lights of the penthouse. This was beyond anything she could have imagined, a sudden, miraculous turn of events that felt like a dream. Her entire life had been defined by sacrifice, by the quiet acceptance of a different path. Now, the path she had longed for, the path she had believed was lost forever, was suddenly, impossibly, reopening. She looked at Mr. Sterling, then around the room, at the faces that now held only kindness and admiration. Her voice, usually so controlled, was thick with emotion. Anya said, Mr. Sterling, I don't know what to say. Thank you, so much. Her voice broke, overwhelmed by the enormity of his offer. It wasn't just about the money or the opportunity. It was about being seen, being valued, being recognized for something more than just her labor. It was about her dream, once withered, now blossoming anew. Mr. Sterling placed a hand gently on her shoulder. Mr. Sterling said, Anya, the thanks are ours. You reminded us tonight what true artistry is, what courage looks like. You reminded us that we often walk past extraordinary talent without ever seeing it. He looked at the other guests. Let this be a lesson to all of us, to truly see the people around us, to listen, to recognize the hidden depths beneath the surface. The night, which had started as a typical corporate celebration, had transformed into something far more profound. It was a night of unexpected revelation, of humility, and of a powerful rediscovery of human connection. The casual joke had unleashed a voice, and that voice had, in turn, unleashed a wave of unexpected generosity and introspection. The glittering penthouse, once a symbol of exclusive wealth, now felt filled with a warmth that went beyond the champagne and the expensive decor. It was the warmth of shared emotion, of unexpected grace. Over the next few days, the story of Anya's performance spread like wildfire through the company and beyond. It became an instant legend, whispered in hushed tones in the hallways, recounted with awe in coffee breaks. The casual cruelty of Mr. Sterling's initial challenge, juxtaposed with the breathtaking beauty of her voice and his subsequent, dramatic reversal, made for an irresistible tale. It was the kind of story that reminded people that true greatness could be found in the most unexpected places, that dignity could shine through the most humble circumstances. Monday morning, Anya arrived for her last shift as a janitor. She pushed her cleaning cart with a lighter step, a faint smile playing on her lips. Her heart still carried the echo of the applause, the memory of Mr. Sterling's sincere apology. She saw her reflection in a polished pane of glass. The same gray uniform, the same tired face, but her eyes held a new light, a spark of hope that had been absent for far too long. She knew the path ahead would be challenging. Years had passed since she last trained seriously. Her voice, while still powerful, would need careful nurturing, disciplined practice. But for the first time in a very long time, she felt a thrill of anticipation, a sense of purpose beyond simply making ends meet. As she cleaned the very last office, wiping down the gleaming desk, she hummed softly to herself. It wasn't Amazing Grace this time, but a different melody, a hopeful, soaring tune that spoke of new beginnings. The quiet hum was a private celebration, a whisper of the grander music that now awaited her. She was no longer just cleaning up messes. She was preparing to rebuild a dream, one note at a time. The world was about to hear Anya's true voice, not just within the walls of Sterling Innovations, but on a stage far grander than any corporate penthouse. Her journey, which had seemed to end years ago, was just beginning. The path back to her true calling, forged by an unlikely CEO's thoughtless challenge and her own incredible talent, was now wide open before her. The following week was a whirlwind for Anya. True to his word, Mr. Sterling wasted no time. A limousine, sleek and dark, arrived at her modest apartment building. It was an extravagant sight in her quiet, unassuming neighborhood, drawing curious glances from her neighbors. Inside, Anya felt a nervous flutter. She wore her best, albeit simple, dress, a dark blue frock she usually reserved for special occasions. It felt entirely out of place for what she was about to do. The driver, impeccably dressed, opened the door with a respectful bow, a gesture Anya was wholly unaccustomed to. At the Sterling Innovations headquarters, she was led not to the janitorial office, but to a beautifully appointed meeting room. Miss Albright, the board member who had shown such empathy, greeted her with a warm smile and a firm handshake. Miss Albright said, "Anya, welcome. Mr. Sterling and I have been working tirelessly on a plan for you." Mr. Sterling himself entered the room, radiating an energy that was a stark contrast to his slightly humbled demeanor at the gala. He looked at Anya with a renewed respect, a genuine warmth in his eyes. Mr. Sterling said, "Anya, we've outlined a comprehensive program. First, we're arranging a full scholarship for you to the most prestigious music academy in the country, with a stipend to cover all your living expenses. No financial worries, Anya. Focus purely on your voice." Anya could only nod, her throat tight with emotion. It was more than she could have ever dreamed. The academy, the very one she had dreamed of attending as a young girl, now within her grasp. Miss Albright said, "Beyond that, we're connecting you with a renowned vocal coach, a maestro known for training some of the world's finest opera singers. We've already secured his agreement to take you on as a student." Mr. Sterling said, "And we're establishing the Sterling Arts Foundation. It will provide scholarships and opportunities for underprivileged artists, a direct result of your inspiration, Anya. You will be its first beneficiary, and we hope, eventually, a mentor and an ambassador for others." The sheer scope of their generosity was overwhelming. Anya felt tears prick her eyes again. She looked from Mr. Sterling to Miss Albright, her gratitude immense. Anya said, I don't know how to thank you. This is beyond anything." Mr. Sterling said, "Don't thank us, Anya. Show us. Show the world what you're truly capable of." He leaned forward, a conspiratorial glint returning to his eyes, but this time, it was kind, encouraging. "And, perhaps, when you're ready, we would be honored if you would perform at our next annual gala. Not as a janitor, but as our esteemed guest, a testament to what is possible when talent is recognized and nurtured." Over the next few months, Anya's life transformed dramatically. She moved into a small, comfortable apartment near the academy, funded by the Sterling Arts Foundation. The heavy scent of cleaning chemicals was replaced by the crisp, sweet smell of sheet music and the unique aroma of old theater spaces. Her days were no longer filled with the monotonous rhythm of scrubbing floors, but with the exhilarating, demanding discipline of vocal training. Her new vocal coach, Maestro Giovanni Rossi, was a demanding but brilliant man with piercing blue eyes and a shock of white hair. He recognized her extraordinary talent immediately, but also understood the years of neglect her voice had endured. Maestro Rossi said, "Anya, your voice is a diamond, but it has been buried for too long. We must polish it, carefully, slowly. It is powerful, yes, but it lacks the full nuance, the exquisite control that only consistent training can provide." Anya embraced the challenge with a fierce determination. She spent hours in practice rooms, her voice echoing off the soundproofed walls. She learned new techniques, breathing exercises, and how to harness the full range and power of her instrument. She studied music theory, immersing herself in the world she had once loved and lost. It was grueling, exhausting work, but every day she felt herself growing, her voice blossoming under the maestro's expert guidance. Her body, accustomed to physical labor, was now adjusting to the subtle, precise demands of a singer. Her posture improved, her breath control became masterful. She felt stronger, not just physically, but mentally. The quiet, almost shy woman who pushed a cleaning cart, slowly began to shed her protective shell, revealing a confident, passionate artist beneath. During this time, she had occasional meetings with Mr. Sterling and Miss Albright. They were genuinely interested in her progress, not just as benefactors, but as individuals who had been deeply moved by her story. Mr. Sterling, in particular, often shared insights from his own world of high-stakes business, offering advice on navigating the competitive landscape of the arts. He saw in Anya a reflection of his own drive, albeit channeled into a different, more beautiful pursuit. Mr. Sterling said, "The world of performance, Anya, is not so different from the world of business. You must be disciplined, persistent, and always believe in the value of your own unique offering." Miss Albright, a gentle but firm presence, became a mentor of sorts, helping Anya navigate the administrative complexities of her new life. Miss Albright said, "Never forget where you came from, Anya, but never let it define your future. Your past is a foundation, not a prison." Anya cherished these conversations. They helped her understand that her journey was not just a personal one, but a symbol. She was a living testament to second chances, to the power of human connection, and to the importance of looking beyond superficial appearances. One afternoon, several months into her training, Maestro Rossi stopped her during a particularly challenging aria. Maestro Rossi said, "Anya, stop." Anya's heart sank. She thought she had made a mistake. Maestro Rossi, however, was smiling, a rare, genuine smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. Maestro Rossi said, "It is time. Your voice is ready. Not just ready for practice, but ready for the stage. There is an audition next month for the lead role in La Traviata at the City Opera House. I want you to try out." Anya gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. La Traviata. It was one of the most iconic, demanding operas, a dream role for any soprano. The thought terrified her, but also ignited a spark of fierce excitement she hadn't felt in years. Could she truly do it? Could she, the former janitor, stand on that hallowed stage? The journey from the sterile halls of Sterling Innovations to the grand, velvet-draped stage of the City Opera House felt impossibly long, yet somehow inevitable. Anya dedicated herself to preparing for the audition with every fiber of her being. She studied every nuance of Violetta, the tragic heroine, pouring her own life experiences of sacrifice and hidden dreams into the character. She worked on the Italian lyrics, ensuring every word was imbued with authentic emotion. Her confidence grew with each passing day. She no longer saw herself as the invisible woman, but as an artist, a storyteller, a voice ready to share its truth with the world. The fear was still there, a constant companion, but it was overshadowed by a burning desire to sing, truly sing, once more. The day of the audition arrived. Anya stood backstage, the familiar scent of old wood and dust filling her nostrils. It was a smell not unlike the Sterling Innovations building, but here, it held a different promise. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic rhythm against the quiet anticipation of the other hopefuls. She saw established singers, veterans of countless auditions, their faces a mixture of confidence and apprehension. She was the newcomer, the unknown quantity, the janitor, with a secret. When her name was called, Anya Petrova, she walked onto the stage, the bright lights momentarily blinding her. The vast, empty theater stretched before her, a silent, imposing judge. She could just make out the figures of the audition panel in the darkened seats, their faces obscured. She took a deep breath, centered herself, and found a quiet strength within. This wasn't just an audition. It was a culmination. It was for her grandmother, for Mr. Sterling, for Miss Albright, and most importantly, for herself. It was a reclaiming of a destiny she thought had slipped away forever. She closed her eyes for a moment, remembering the exact moment Mr. Sterling had challenged her, the casual dismissal in his eyes, the joke that had set her free. She opened her eyes, and a quiet fire burned within them. This was her stage now, and she was ready to sing. Anya stood on the stage, the cavernous opera house before her, a silent, expectant beast. The panel of judges, shadowed figures in the vast darkness, waited. Her heart, which had been a frantic drum, now settled into a steady, powerful beat. This was it. This was the moment she had both yearned for and feared. She was no longer a janitor. She was Anya Petrova, the soprano, ready to step into the light. She raised her head, a quiet dignity radiating from her. She signaled to the pianist, a gentle nod, and the first mournful, beautiful notes of Ah, Force Louis filled the space. Then, Anya's voice soared. It was rich, powerful, and brimming with an emotional depth that transcended mere technique. Every note was infused with her journey, the years of silent sacrifice, the buried dreams, the unexpected resurrection of her artistic soul. The tragic beauty of Violetta's longing, her bittersweet acceptance of a love that could never truly be hers, poured from Anya's lips with an authenticity that was breathtaking. She sang with every fiber of her being, her body swaying slightly with the music, her hands clasped, then opening, as if releasing the pent-up emotions of a lifetime. The notes climbed higher, pure and clear, ringing through the opera house, filling every nook and cranny. There was no hesitation, no doubt, only the pure, unadulterated passion of an artist finally unleashed. The air itself seemed to vibrate with the sheer power and beauty of her voice. The judges, initially poised and critical, slowly began to lean forward. Their professional detachment crumbled, replaced by expressions of awe, then wonder, and finally, profound emotion. One of them, a grizzled old conductor known for his impossibly high standards, closed his eyes, a single tear tracing a path down his weathered cheek. He recognized true greatness when he heard it, and this was greatness. Anya reached the climax of the aria, her voice soaring to an almost impossible height, holding the note with exquisite control, then descending with a tender, heartbreaking diminuendo. When the last note faded, a profound silence descended upon the opera house, even more absolute than the one that had followed her performance at the gala. It was the silence of complete captivation, of spirits moved beyond words. Then, from the darkened seats, came a sound so unexpected, so powerful, that it made Anya flinch. It was not applause, not yet. It was a soft, collective gasp, followed by a quiet sob, then another. The judges, despite their stern professional demeanor, were visibly moved. Some openly wept, their faces streaked with tears. Finally, the conductor, the one with the tear-streaked face, rose slowly to his feet. He began to clap, a slow, deliberate sound that soon swelled as the other judges, one by one, joined him. The applause, when it came, was not just respectful, it was an ovation, a roar of approval and emotional release. They knew, in that moment, that they had witnessed something truly extraordinary, a voice that deserved to be heard by the world. Anya stood on the stage, the applause washing over her like a warm wave. A profound sense of peace settled within her. She had done it. She had sung, not for a joke, not for money, but for the sheer, unadulterated joy of it, for the sacred trust of her grandmother's memory, for the reawakening of her own soul. The tears that streamed down her face were not of sorrow, but of triumph, of gratitude, of a dream finally, fully realized. Days later, the news came. Anya Petrova had won the lead role in La Traviata. The city opera house buzzed with excitement. Her story, the janitor turned opera singer, became a local sensation, then a national one. Major newspapers carried her photograph, a radiant Anya, no longer in a gray uniform, but in elegant attire, her eyes shining with hope and determination. Television networks clamored for interviews. Mr. Sterling and Miss Albright were ecstatic. Mr. Sterling said, "Anya, you've exceeded every expectation. You are an inspiration to us all, and a testament to the power of human spirit." The Sterling Arts Foundation gained significant public attention, attracting more donations and allowing it to fund even more aspiring artists. The night of the premiere was a glittering affair. The City Opera House was packed to the rafters, a who's who of the city's elite, along with countless ordinary people who had been moved by Anya's incredible story. Mr. Sterling and Miss Albright occupied a prominent box, their faces beaming with pride. When Anya stepped onto the stage as Violetta, a hush fell over the audience. Her transformation was complete. She commanded the stage with an ethereal grace, her voice soaring through the complex score, carrying the audience on an unforgettable emotional journey. The standing ovation at the end was thunderous, lasting for what felt like an eternity. Bouquets of roses rained down onto the stage. Anya, bathed in the spotlight, took her bows, her heart overflowing. She looked up towards the private box where Mr. Sterling and Miss Albright sat, and offered them a heartfelt, grateful smile. This was more than a performance. It was a testament to second chances, to the belief that true talent, no matter how deeply buried, will always find its way to the light. Anya's career blossomed. She became a celebrated opera singer, gracing stages around the world. Her name became synonymous with resilience and the profound beauty of the human voice. She never forgot her past, often speaking publicly about her journey, inspiring countless others to pursue their own hidden dreams. She became an active ambassador for the Sterling Arts Foundation, helping to identify and nurture young talent, ensuring that no aspiring artist would have to abandon their dreams due to financial hardship. The story of Anya Petrova, the janitor who sang her way to the opera stage, became a legend. It was a powerful reminder that judging people by their outward appearance, by their job titles, or their perceived status, meant missing out on the extraordinary depths that lay beneath the surface. It was a story about how a single, casual, and initially insensitive joke could, through a twist of fate and the sheer force of talent, unlock a destiny. It highlighted the profound impact of unexpected kindness, of a second chance, and of the unwavering power of one human voice to move, to inspire, and to transform. It taught everyone who heard it that grace, indeed, can appear in the most unexpected hours, saving us from blindness and showing us what we truly could be. Her journey stands as a powerful testament to the idea that true value is rarely found in the superficial, but in the raw, unpolished brilliance that often lies hidden. It's a story that reminds us to look closer, to listen deeper, and to never underestimate the quiet dignity and incredible potential of every individual we encounter. You never know who holds a masterpiece within them, waiting for a chance to sing. What a remarkable journey, wouldn't you agree? This story of Anya reminds us that extraordinary talent can truly be found in the most unexpected places, often hidden behind the everyday roles we see. It's a powerful testament to resilience, the profound impact of genuine recognition, and how a single moment can completely alter a person's destiny. If Anya's story moved you, if it sparked a flicker of hope or reminded you of a hidden talent you possess, please consider giving this video a like. Your likes help us share these inspiring true stories with more people around the world, spreading messages of perseverance and the beauty of the human spirit. And if you want to be uplifted by more incredible narratives of triumph against the odds, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Joining our community means you won't miss out on any future stories that will challenge your perceptions and touch your heart. We believe in the power of these tales to inspire and connect us all. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever encountered someone in an unassuming role who then revealed an incredible, unexpected talent? Or perhaps you yourself have a hidden passion that you've kept quiet, much like Anya did for so many years? Share your stories in the comments below. Let us know what hidden talents you believe exist all around us, or even within yourselves, just waiting for their moment to shine. We love reading your thoughts and connecting with each one of you. Don't be shy. Let your voice be heard.